Hey, this is Idea Coach East with Coach East Roan. Weighing in on the weight classes, episode 12B, the review of UFC 140, which we saw Lyoto Machida lose to the champion John Jones. Okay, I do not like doing these reviews so close to actually watching the event because of all the excitement that goes on, when you see, your favorite fighter lose or your favorite fighter win, or, a crazy submission takes place or a crazy knockout happens. But unfortunately, I got a lot of things to take care of in my personal life, so let's get into it. I'm going to talk about the only fight I did not like, and it was ended up being a finish. That was Rich Antonio versus Jake Hatchett. And Antonio was just laying and praying the whole first round, and then he ended up losing TKO to Jake later on in the second. A friend of mine that was complaining about the next fight, I don't know if it was the next fight on the card, but it was the next fight I watched, was Mark Bocek versus Nick Lettis. And the thing is that the fight was interesting. I mean, it was a ground battle, but each guy was trying to, further his position and get better positioning and attacking the entire time. I don't know how I would like it if I was to watch it again, but watching it live, it was okay. Now let me get off to one fight that I did not watch. That was just mainly because I was getting some food while this was happening. I had some food delivered to me. I was paying off the money, and that was Igor Pokrat's knockout of Krzysztof Szosinski, and just wow. And that's the theme of UFC 140. It's just wow, which leads me to the fight which I called and got wrong, and that's the Korean Zombie versus Mark Hominick. I mean, both in the Hominick fight and the Igor fight, it's really hard to talk about because you have two forces colliding with each other in each bout, and each bout one person goes down. I don't want to say anything that negative about the losers because they lost simply because they're so reckless trying to do the same thing to their opponent and just got caught, I think the Korean Zombie knocked out Mark Hominick in about like 7 seconds. I mean, that was crazy. And I just really thought, overall, on a computer program, Mark Hominick should have, knocked out Chae Sung Jung in not as quickly, but you understand what I'm trying to say. But the thing is, what do you say about someone like Krzysztof or Mark Hominick? You could say, oh yeah, the only thing you can say is like, oh yeah, be careful. But if you was to be careful, you wouldn't be a fighter, you'd be an accountant. All right, so here's the thing with Chae Sung Jung. He looked great ever since he rebounded off his loss to George Rowe. And I think with this performance and maybe one more win, he should actually be in for a title shot. Something I thought would never happen is actually pretty close to happening. I like the Korean Zombie, and I hope he gets the next win. I'd like to see him fight for the title. All right, Brian Ebersol versus Claude Patrick. Brian keeps on winning, and I thought these IFL guys couldn't hang in the UFC, but this guy keeps proving me wrong. I think he's now 3-0, 4-0 in the UFC. I'll say something about the victory though. I think that if Claude Patrick didn't pull guard like in the first minute of the third round, he probably could have walked away with the split decision victory instead of Brian walking away with it. I mean, because in the last, I think about a minute and a half, there was a transition of different submissions, and it all ended with Claude Patrick being at the bottom, escaping the anaconda choke. The way the first round went, being Ebersol, and the second round going to Patrick, I thought that if he didn't pull guard at the beginning of the third frame, he may have done enough to walk away with the split decision victory. Watching it, you had that feeling, walking into the third round that this was going to go to the decision, and I think that really would cost him. But I don't know. It was a good fight overall. It just wasn't as good as the fights that surrounded it, at least not in a decisive way. Tito Ortiz versus Little Nogueira. There's nothing to say about that, but it was just so strange to see a stoppage, a TKO stoppage, in MMA due to body shots. And I just got through watching the post-fight interview with the post-fight press conference, and Dana White talked about how Tito was actually in the hospital at the time of when the press conference was going on, getting his ribs checked out because he could have broke a rib. Like I said, it's still in MMA. It's such a rarity to see a TKO stoppage due to body damage. Now let's get on to co-main event here. Frank Mir versus Minotauro Nogueira. Now, I felt that Mir was going to take this fight, even though I wanted Minotauro to win. But no one thought he was going to take this via submission. I even said in my preview in episode 12A that I was not expecting this to go to the ground at all. You know, Mir got caught on the temple, he got wobbled, and then Nogueira started playing the ground game with them, and it ended up terrible. Now, this is the fourth Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu great, not black belt, great, to fall victim to the Kimura or the double wrist lock. There's some controversy as to who created the move, when it was created. You know, did Kimura create it, or was it a product of the American catch wrestlers using the term double wrist lock? That's debate is for you. Gracie to Kimura, Renzo Gracie to Sakuraba, Royce Gracie to Matt Hughes, and now Nogueira to Frank Mir. The problem with the move is that when it's applied on top, you can't really fight it no gi. You just have to like roll and hope for the best. And when you're dealing with like heavyweights, and especially a guy who can distribute his weight properly, someone like, you know, like Frank Mir, if you don't tap very quick, it's a snap, crackle, and pop for you. And you know, I'm still kind of, you know, I'm doing it, I'm a little surprised at the end of the video. I'm going to talk about it, but I was really surprised on how that fight went down. Where does this leave Frank Mir? I think the Strikeforce Grand Prix winner should face him the way the title picture is right now, or perhaps Cain Velasquez. The loser of Overeem Brock, I don't know if I want to see Brock Mir 3, especially when the second fight went down. And really the first fight, it was pretty much a domination until Brock made an amateur mistake because he was an amateur at the time. He was, you know, beating the crap out of Frank Mir. I don't know if I want to see a third one. If it's Overeem losing, then I wouldn't mind seeing Frank Mir fight Overeem. But I don't know if I want to see him and Brock face off again. For Nogueira, I don't know. I mean, he's going to the hospital, that's for sure. And we may only see him one time next year, and there's way too many things that can happen, you know, by the time he heals up, and the whole, you know, heavyweight division, you know, complexion can change, because I have a feeling that the Strikeforce heavyweights are coming to the UFC sometime in the summer of next year. Okay, off to the main event. Not since Shogun and Gomi of 2005 has a fighter had a year like John Jones. Let me say something. The first round, Lyoto Machida had Jones confused the way that he confused opponents before he won the title. The difference here is that John Jones made the adjustments in the fight, something that takes a lot of mental toughness and perseverance to do. I was surprised that Lyoto didn't move around on the ground in the second round before getting choked. And thus, you know, I read about in the interview that John Jones stated that he himself was surprised that Lyoto wasn't moving around enough on the ground before he applied the choke. Maybe he was thinking, maybe Lyoto was thinking of a way to get up without taking damage. I'm not too sure. Shogun Lyoto rubber band match sounds nice to me. Other than that, there's not too many other matchups for Lyoto right now, and John Jones is pretty much sitting pretty until we see who wins between Phil Davis and Rashad Evans. One thing I gotta say about this is that, you know, with the way Rashad was hated on, the way Lyoto was hated on in the past, and the way John Jones is hated on right now, to me it says a lot about MMA fans. You know, I saw the last fight with Rashad Evans when he faced Tito Ortiz. People were cheering for him because he acted kind of like a character, like, man, Rampage, Jones, I want my belt. And people were like clapping for that. I mean, I think Rashad has succumbed to the, almost the WWE style of doing his promos and marketing himself, something like Chael Sonnen. So people always say, we don't want that WWE bullshit coming around, but let's face facts here. People do enjoy caricatures of their fighters. Let me get off and say something. Episode 13 is going to take place a week before UFC 141, and I'm probably going to combine that with Dream's Fight for Japan. It's not called Dynamite anymore. I'm going to combine those two, and the first of the year, I'm going to have my review, and I'm going to have a MMA awards review, doing a moment of the year, fight of the year, submission of the year, knockout of the year, card of the year, a couple of the different surprises. Leave your comments below. Tell me what you think. What cards do you think were the best? What submissions you think were the best? So on and so forth. I know we still have one more UFC card to go, but I'm trying to get more footage on Bellator, but it's proven a little bit difficult. I don't want to download a whole bunch of stuff, and I've seen all the UFC stuff live. I've seen the Dream cards live, and the Dream cards this year sucks. I'm sorry, I love Japanese MMA, but those things are they've just not been good. However, I'm very excited about the Fight for Japan because it's going to have the Bantamweight tournament. I'm a big Inimari fan and Fernandez fan, so hopefully those guys will fight the final. Other than that, guys, take care.